Sure,
Shiroz.
sure.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. We are glad to have you here in our seminar. We are Team Epione and we are trying to spread awareness on the topic of smoking within our youth. It's a topic which you all probably know about very well. It's ingrained in our brains since we were children, and you all probably know how harmful it is. But statistics show otherwise. Almost 17% of the population in Pakistan is an active smoker, and this and this makes Pakistan the seventh largest consumer of tobacco in the world. And you would think, and how would this correlate to the use? Well, studies show that almost 90% of smokers had started smoking before the age of 21. The topic almost feels foreign, doesn't it? Even amongst all of you, there might be a few smokers here and there, and we want to expand on this topic and explore the different perspectives which we have backed by expert opinions and aim to reduce the effects of smoking. To start off, I'll have Mohit Khan help the causes of smoking.
Assalamu alaikum.
Mohit?
Mm, there's many reasons to why teenagers begin smoking, and it's basically because we're in a very influential uh, age where we are easily attracted by trends and friend groups. So the first reason we'll be discussing is the the stigma in the youth that smoking is cool. Many friend groups, they friends encourage their friends to smoke. For that reason, many of the young people get into this habit and are trapped in a cycle of addiction. Smoking often starts as an act of rebellion, an attempt to look mature, independent, or even cool. For many, it begins due to stress, depression, or anxiety, emotions that are unfortunately synonymous with the teenage experiences, especially regarding academic pressures and social struggles. Cigarettes provide an illusion of relief. The nicotine in cigarettes release dopamine into the bloodstream, momentarily creating a false sense of happiness and relaxation. However, this fleeting pleasure comes at a great cost. The body suffers, the mind becomes clouded, and what started as a temporary escape turns into a lifelong burden. Nicotine addiction is one of the strongest and most challenging to overcome. Young smokers quickly develop a dependence, needing more and more to feel the same effect. What they don't realize is that with every inhale, they're inhaling over 7,000 harmful chemicals, many of which are toxic and carcinogenic. The long-term consequences are terrifying, yet in their youthful endurance, many choose to ignore the dangers, believing that they're immune to harm. Beyond the physical impact, smoking also takes a toll on self-respect. Teenagers hiding this habit from their parents believe that they are asserting their independence. However, what they see as a symbol of pride and respect among peers is in reality a costly mistake. The temporary boost in social status among their peers comes at the expense of their health, finances, and self control. Worse still, they unknowingly become influencers of the same habit, enticing their younger friends and siblings to follow in their footsteps. This cycle of addiction continues, and another generation falls victim to the trap laid by the tobacco industry. One of the few saving graces for children is the guidance of their parents, but if a father smokes, then the likelihood of his child picking up the same habit increases dramatically. The phrase apples don't fall far from the tree is especially true in this context. Children model their behavior after their parents, and if they see smoking as a normal and acceptable habit, then they are more likely to imitate it. However, parents alone cannot bear the entire burden. Society as a whole must recognize the deep rooted issue at play. The tobacco industry, built upon hazardous products, care nothing about for the public health. For them, profit matters more than the well-being of individuals. Their advertisements and campaigns are designed to deceive, using clever marketing tactics to lure in younger consumers. They they portray smoking as glamorous, sophisticated, or even rebellious, images that appeal directly to the impressionable teenagers. They strategically maneuver around legal restrictions, ensuring their products remain widely available in the markets. It is no surprise then that these harmful substances end up in the hands of the most vulnerable youth. Governments have a role to play in enforcing stricter regulations, involving stricter regulations, increasing awareness, and curbing tobacco advertisements. Schools and communities must engage in proactive education about the risk of smoking, fostering a culture where saying no to cigarettes is the norm rather than an exception. Every individual, parent, teachers, policymakers, and friends must take a stand against the manipulation of the tobacco industry and the tragic consequences it brings upon young lives. Thank you.
And now I would like Shiroz Bilal, who would help explain the health consequences of smoking in greater detail.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. A cigarette's flame may spark a thrill, but it burns your ears against your will. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a very interesting question. What would you rather choose in life or in smoking?
Life.
All right. So, to understand the very consequences behind this silent and slow killer, you must first understand the fact of the matter being that our health is everything. A healthy body is a healthy mind. Cigarettes is something which people think is not that harmful to the health, but it contains over 7,000 chemicals, and all of these are very harmful to the body. The three main chemicals are tar, carbon monoxide, and nicotine. Well, the combined effect of all of these chemicals firstly causes your immune system to get weaker, which causes it more, which creates it more prone to diseases. The immune guard, which was once fierce and bold, is now weakened by the tar and the gold. Secondly, it accelerates your aging process. Your hair volume gets reduced, and also you get more wrinkles on your face as your blood flow to the skin is reduced due to less oxygen being made. Now, let's look at the individual effect of these three main chemicals. Let's start with nicotine. Well, nicotine is an addictive chemical which releases a chemical in your brain, that is dopamine, which generates the stimulus of happiness in your brain. It is also something which stimulates the entire nervous system, which causes reduced blood flow to the entire organs of the body, which literally leads to vasoconstriction. So, building up on this, we must understand that it also causes and increases the risk of heart attacks and heart diseases. It is like a battle lost before it can begin, a silent war that we cannot win if we do not leave this habit. Moving forward, tar is something which mainly affects our lungs. Tar coats the lining of the lungs, reducing their efficiency in gaseous exchange. The smoker's cough is also caused by this, which bursts their alveoli, which is where the gaseous exchange takes place. And apart from this, it also increases the risk of lung cancer as it contains carcinogens, which can also lead to further maybe mouth or throat cancers. Adding on to this, it is also essential to recognize that it is also the leading cause for many respiratory diseases such as chronic bronchitis, emphysema, and COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. With every puff, the shield wears thin, allowing the germs to sneak right in. When inhaled, the carbon monoxide competes with oxygen for binding sites on hemoglobin and red blood cells, forming a compound known as carboxyhemoglobin. Now, because carbon monoxide binds with hemoglobin with much greater affinity than oxygen, it reduces the blood capacity to carry the oxygen. Now, this results in oxygen deprivation of all the organs, but it is particularly dangerous for the heart and the brain. And over time, as I mentioned earlier, it can lead to reduced oxygen delivery and can contribute to cardiovascular diseases, manifesting as increased risk for heart attacks and strokes, while also potentially impairing cognitive functions. And moreover, smoking relentlessly also attacks our heart, our bodies, our entire nervous system. Then, if we look at in greater detail, our heart, that is one of the organs that pumps blood around the body tirelessly. Well, smoking is the major contributor of heart attack. Annually around the world, as per the World Health Organization, estimates that tobacco use is responsible for approximately 20% of all the deaths from coronary heart diseases. This figure translates to roughly 1.9 million deaths annually. Now, what it does to your heart is that it damages the blood vessel linings. Over there, plague builds up in time. It's like debris, which clogging the vital highways, you can mention other ways. Now, this restricts blood flow, potentially causing angina, and simultaneously, smoking thickens blood, increasing the risk of clotting, which can trigger heart attacks and strokes. Furthermore, it directly weakens the heart muscle, akin to overworking an already damaged engine, ultimately leading to heart failure. And the heart's inability to pump sufficient blood is where the entire system of the body begins to suffer. In essence, the chronic exposure to carbon monoxide weakens overall organ function by sustaining a state of hypoxia, which is, in other words, you can mention like low oxygen levels, which leads to dizziness. And smokers are the people who unfortunately have a risk of 2 to 4 times catching more risk of coronary heart diseases and strokes compared to non-smokers. And studies even indicate that even smoking fewer than 5 cigarettes a day can increase the risk of heart attack by around 50% as compared to non-smokers. Now, moving forward. Smoking is accountable for about 70 to 90% of the lung cancer cases. Smokers who consume more than 25 cigarettes a day are 25 times more likely to develop lung cancer than non-smokers. And apart from all this, it's also crucial to acknowledge that when the lungs are not as efficient, less oxygen is being produced. And so all of the organs of the body, they're not receiving enough oxygen. And furthermore, due to smoking, the enamel, which is the hardest and the outer surface of your teeth, is weakened, and so your teeth are now much more sensitive. They become yellow and they are more prone to diseases and bacteria. Now, that's all from my side. Thank you, everyone.
I would now like to introduce Abdullah Atif to explain our aims.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So, I would like to explain you our aims and statistics related to smoking. So, globally in 2020, about 22.3% of the world's population and used tobacco, with rates as high as 36.7% among men and 7.8% among women. Recent estimates recent estimates indicate that roughly 19% of Pakistani adults used tobacco products, with smoking prevalence soaring to about 34% among men while remaining relatively low, about 3 to 5% among women. This high burden not only contributes to thousands of premature deaths annually in Pakistan. Research has estimated that smoking is responsible for roughly 16% of all male deaths in Pakistan and about 5% of female deaths in Pakistan. In the realm of lung disease, about 90% of the lung cancer cases are attributed to tobacco only, and some reports estimate that tobacco related lung cancer claims around 1 lakh lives each year. This is why Team.Epione was formed. The youth in our communities are at a very alarming rate of getting into this habit. I will now brief you about our aims and taken course of actions. So, what we wish to achieve is to reduce the number of people who smoke in our local community by spreading awareness about its medical or health risk associated with smoking, as well as providing people with ways to quit this addiction, this nicotine addiction. Secondly, we also want to eliminate the stigma in the youth that smoking is a sense of pride among their friends. We want to bring about a positive change in our community by reducing this issue so that no one is suffering from the effects of health risks and we all are safe. In order to spread awareness, we designed posters and pasted them into different places, made and distributed brochures and flyers, and displayed signs with research and graphical and statistical data to educate the youth by convincing facts that they should give up this habit. We approached people in crowds and talked to them, as well as conducted a seminar included with this online webinar, which is right now being conducted, which you all are a part of right now. Furthermore, we also contacted multiple local and global experts in order to gather information about the health risk associated with smoking. For this purpose, we traveled to various clinics, hospitals, as well as we have online interviews. We also interviewed individuals from a local community to gather different cultural perspectives and build understanding. We published our research, including the interviews, on social media handles like Instagram, YouTube, and a website so that everyone can access it and benefit from it by knowing the health risks and what are the causes and the statistical data. We also conducted surveys and questionnaires, both online and physical, and we accumulated the results to form our own statistics to understand that the situation in our local community. We then compared it with the feedback from the people who reach out to measure our rate of success. We also provided the people who sought out our help with nicotine pouches and gums to leave this habit. Additionally, we encourage the youth to have a healthy lifestyle and have good hobbies except of just like smoking. We encourage the youth to have a healthy lifestyle and have good hobbies and die to avoid smoking cigarettes and reverse its effects. We have arranged for counseling and advisor for people eager to receive a plan for effectively quit smoking. It's now time for Shan Rizwan to explore different perspectives on this topic and analyze them. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum. What we discovered was after extensive research is that people who smoke try to justify their addiction. What they believe is that after smoking, they can consume something healthy, such as juices, which cancel out the effects created by smoking on the body, something called detoxing. While this argument does have some depth, unfortunately, the effects of smoking are not always irreversible. For example, if you catch diseases like COPD, which is incurable, and even cases like some ulcers and cancers, our body does not work like a cash register. It doesn't balance the positives and the negatives. Cigarettes will harm parts of your body and cannot cancel the effects. Apart from this, some people present the argument that they only smoke occasionally, and that in two times, and that in times of difficulty and distress. The problem with that is nicotine creates addiction, and this occasionally is one cigarette turns into two, three, four, till you stop counting. Some people treat small breaks as them quitting cigarettes, but just to get back at it, trying to show that they have some control of the decision, but in the end, they're slaves of the addiction. It's also worth mentioning that some people argue that by smoking, they're supporting their local economy and helping help people get jobs in the tobacco industry. If they quit smoking, the economy will go down and many people will be unemployed. However, numerous studies have demonstrated that smoke-free policies do not have a detrimental economic impact. In many cases, they may even contribute to a healthier workforce and lower healthcare costs, which benefits the economy overall. Moreover, the economic costs associated with smoking-related illnesses often outweigh any short-term business benefits. Moving forward, one significant contributor of people, as we have mentioned earlier, can be peer pressure, taken as a source of pride and family history. Well, hurting oneself isn't something anyone should be taking pride in. To get into smoking just because your friends told you so is just declaring a war upon yourself. Some people argue that they avoid much more dangerous items in diet like oil, so smoking isn't a big health risk. However, that is also a turning blind eye to research. Cigarettes are significantly worse than for health. Even small amounts are dangerous. Also, you cannot justify doing something bad to yourself by saying, "I don't do it that bad thing. Though I don't do that bad thing, so it's okay." Concluding this, so we now are aware of the fact that every situation, in every situation, smoking is not the choice. We must get out of this trap and try to avoid smoking as much as possible. Tobacco products contain chemicals such as nicotine, car, and now concluding this, we are aware of the fact that in every situation, smoking is not the choice. We must get out of this trap and avoid it as much as possible. Tobacco products contain chemicals like nicotine, tar, and carbon monoxide, which contribute to addiction, respiratory, and cardiovascular diseases, and overall premature death. We explored how these harmful agents damage our body and why even light cigarettes or newer products such as e-cigarettes and heated tobacco are not eliminated by the inherent health risks, as its benefits outweigh its harms on the body by a lot. So kindly, it is a request by us for you to not smoke. It is your responsibility to keep care of yourself, and we must be very smart in all decisions related to our bodies. So join Team.Epione and in spreading awareness and breaking the chains of smoking. Thank you very much for attending our seminar, and in the end, thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Can everyone just wait for like 2 more minutes? We're gonna have a short question and answer session. You guys can raise your hands via Zoom, and we'll answer all your queries.
Abdullah, please let me turn on my camera.
We'll have Abdurrahman Usman Khan first.
Why are cigarettes considered a silent killer?
Cigarettes are a silent killer because initially you do not feel their effects, but later on, such as you develop cancers, which itself is a very silent killer. And so, like after a while, like it becomes too late, and your body is tarnished. Initially, there's nothing wrong.
Next, we'll have Feroz Ahmed.
What is the core aim of Team.Epione anti-smoking campaign?
Can you say that again?
What is the core aim of Team.Epione's anti-smoking campaign?
Shiroz, answer this question, please.
All right. So to answer your question, our core aim is to basically remove the stigma that youth thinks that they take smoking as a source of pride. We believe that they should not, because it's certainly not a very good thing. The campaign's goal is to reduce smoking rates by reshaping social perceptions, debunking myths about smoking, and encouraging a healthier lifestyle generally for everyone. Hope that answers your question. Does anyone else have a question?
Next question. Next question.
Seeing none, we'll be cutting the question and answer session short. Thank you everyone for attending our seminar. Allah Hafiz. Have a great day.
So, in your experience, how does smoking cause neurological health problems?
Smoking
So,
causes
because of
neurological
my
health problems
background in
because
neurosciences and also working with
Just an interview.
cancer patients, I think I could provide both perspectives. So, from a neuroscience perspective, um, cigarettes and e-cigarettes both have a lot of neurotoxins and a lot of different chemicals, such as nicotine is the most common one that we all know of, but there are actually a lot of other chemicals that are stuffed into cigarettes, like carbon monoxide and a lot heavy metals. And all of these different chemicals cause damage to our neurons, which are our brain cells, and they can disrupt neurotransmitter systems. So, neurotransmitters are basically the chemicals that our brain releases to send messages across different cells. And so when these are damaged, it can damage the formation of, healthy brain systems and networks, and then also our ability to form coherent thoughts. And overall, this can prolonged exposure to neurotoxins, which are in these cigarettes, can lead to cell death. So, causing these brain cells to die over time. It can also result in damage to our vessels in our body, which then reduces blood flow to the brain. So these are problems that originate within the peripheral sides of our body, not in our brain, but eventually they lead to damage of the brain because your brain isn't getting the necessary oxygen that it needs. So it can lead to strokes and dementia. There's also a lot of inflammation and oxidative stress that can be caused by smoking. So, as I mentioned earlier, cigarettes and e-cigarettes, they have a lot of different toxins in them. Aside from just addictive
Like
material,
when you just weigh this in 1x,
like
not
nicotine,
1.4.
there's a lot of other things stuffed in there, and that includes free radicals. So, free radicals are a type of highly reactive material that causes oxidative stress in our body. So, these are just materials that are very reactive. So, they're going around bumping into things and causing inflammation in our body.